Today, we're diving deep into the history and design of one of the most enduring and powerful Republic warships, the Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruiser. Fasten your seatbelts and subscribe for more Star Wars insights. Nordy here, and it's time to get started. The Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruiser was an imposing behemoth of war, a monument to the destructive prowess of the Galactic Republic. Its immense size was not just for show. Every inch of the ship's frame was crafted to house weapons capable of dominating the battlefield. To gaze upon it was to witness the very concept of force made tangible, a vessel whose mere presence instilled fear in enemies and reverence in allies. The armament of this cruiser told a tale not of mere violence, but of precision, adaptability, and the calculated application of overwhelming firepower. Each weapon, meticulously designed and placed, served a purpose, an integral part of the cruiser's ability to control the flow of battle. At the heart of the Dreadnaught's armament were its medium turbo-laser batteries, 10 formidable cannons that acted as the ship's main guns, each one capable of transforming the battlefield with a single, well-placed shot. These turbo-lasers were placed strategically, with 5 at the fore and 5 at the aft, ensuring the cruiser could rain down devastation from any angle. The fore-facing turbo-lasers were particularly potent, designed to shatter enemy defenses before they even had a chance to retaliate. From the moment the Dreadnought entered the fray, these 4 turbo-lasers would begin their relentless bombardment, carving through enemy ships with calculated brutality. The power of each shot was incredible, designed to punch through the strongest of shields and leave nothing but wreckage in its wake. These turbo-lasers weren't just about raw power. They were precision instruments, aimed with deadly accuracy at the heart of enemy vessels, crippling their engines, weapons, or shields with devastating efficiency. The aft turbo-lasers, by contrast, offered a different strategic advantage. Positioned for defense and retreat, they ensured that no ship, no matter how determined, could easily follow the Dreadnought. When enemies tried to close in on the cruiser from behind, these turbo-lasers would open fire, their concentrated beams of energy incinerating any foe foolish enough to pursue. This symmetrical firepower ensured that no matter which direction the ship faced, it could bring its full arsenal to bear. The rear-facing turbo-lasers were designed not only to defend the ship's retreat, but also to keep enemies at a distance, providing a lethal buffer zone that kept the Dreadnought safe from any direct assault. They acted as a deterrent, an overwhelming presence that forced enemies to think twice before pursuing the cruiser too aggressively. While the medium turbo-lasers provided the ship with its primary firepower, the light quad turbo-laser cannons were the secondary weapons, specifically tailored for dealing with smaller, faster-moving threats. A total of 20 of these weapons lined the Dreadnaught's flanks, 10 each on the port and starboard sides. These quad turbo-laser cannons were designed to tear through swarms of starfighters or smaller enemy craft, creating a dense wall of energy that would make it nearly impossible for smaller ships to get close to the cruiser. With 4 barrels per turret, these weapons could unleash a rapid series of shots, overwhelming targets with their sheer volume of fire. The quad turbo-lasers were perfect for dealing with the more agile ships that would attempt to dart in and out of the Dreadnaught's main weapon range. Their rapid-firing nature meant that the cruiser could engage multiple targets at once, tearing apart any fighter or bomber trying to breach the perimeter. However, these cannons were not just designed for swarming attacks. They were versatile enough to engage heavier ships too. When the Dreadnought found itself facing other capital ships, these light turbo-lasers could supplement the fire from the medium turbo-lasers, creating a constant barrage of firepower that would saturate the area, making it difficult for enemies to maneuver or retaliate. The strategic placement of these weapons on the cruiser's port and starboard sides allowed the Dreadnought to engage multiple foes simultaneously, using its rapid rate of fire to keep enemies at bay and wear down their shields before the heavier weaponry finished them off. As a counterpoint to the quad turbo-laser's speed, the heavy laser cannons were designed for sheer power. Positioned at the bow and stern, with 10 on each side, these weapons were the Dreadnaught's answer to larger, more resilient ships. The heavy laser cannons were not designed for rapid fire, but rather for devastatingly powerful shots that would strike at the core of enemy ships, penetrating shields and tearing through hulls. Each shot from a heavy laser cannon was like the strike of a thunderbolt, slow and deliberate, but carrying with it the weight of complete annihilation. Unlike the faster quad turbo lasers, the heavy lasers were perfect for capital ships, their beams capable of shredding even the toughest of armor plating with each shot. In a battle, the Dreadnought class was a juggernaut of firepower, its heavy lasers punctuating the battlefield with concentrated energy beams that would collapse the defenses of any ship unlucky enough to be targeted. The laser cannons were particularly effective when focused on enemy capital ships or fortifications, their slow but powerful shots breaking through shields and sending shrapnel flying. They served a vital role in making sure that no ship, no matter how formidable, could escape the Dreadnought's reach. The ion cannon was another crucial addition to the Dreadnought's arsenal, and in many cases, it was a modification that altered the strategic approach of the cruiser. Where the turbo lasers and laser cannons were meant to destroy, the ion cannon was designed to disable. It could disable a ship's electrical systems, rendering it impotent without causing the structural damage associated with turbo laser fire. This made the ion cannon an invaluable tool for capturing ships or disabling enemy systems without completely destroying them. The ion cannon allowed the Dreadnought class to perform a more versatile range of tactics, from rendering enemy ships helpless to ensuring the safety of valuable targets during a battle. In addition to the ion cannon, many of the Dreadnought-class cruisers were equipped with warhead launchers, capable of launching concussion missiles into the fray. These missiles were a more unpredictable and chaotic form of attack, capable of dealing massive damage to both starfighters and capital ships. The warhead launcher was a tool for striking at the heart of enemy formations, breaking their defensive lines with explosive force. The concussion missiles would launch from the Dreadnought's ports, streaking through space to strike with unerring precision, blasting through shields and wreaking havoc on enemy systems. The concussion missiles had the capability to cause internal explosions, igniting fuel supplies and secondary ammunition stores, which often resulted in catastrophic damage to enemy ships. The warhead launcher added an element of uncertainty to the Dreadnought's combat strategy, a level of chaos that ensured no enemy could ever be certain of what the ship might do next. It was a reminder that while the Dreadnought class was a master of calculated, controlled destruction, it was also capable of unleashing a storm of explosive power that could turn the tide of battle in an instant. All of these weapons combined made the Dreadnought-class Heavy Cruiser an unparalleled force on the battlefield. Its medium turbo lasers cracked the toughest shields, its quad turbo laser cannons shredded fighter formations, its heavy laser cannons tore apart capital ships, and its ion cannons provided the flexibility to disable targets without killing them. The warhead launcher and concussion missiles ensured the Dreadnought class was unpredictable, able to deal with any situation, no matter how dire. The ship was a living embodiment of the Republic's military might, each weapon serving not just to destroy, but to control and dominate. It was a harbinger of doom, a symbol of inevitable victory, and a testament to the power of carefully coordinated, overwhelming force. The Dreadnought-class Heavy Cruiser was a marvel of its time, a hulking testament to the engineering ambitions of the Galactic Republic. Central to its operation were its propulsion and power systems, immense, powerful, and inefficient by modern standards. These engines and reactors transformed the Dreadnought into a lumbering giant, capable of crossing the galaxy and waging prolonged warfare. Yet these systems were far more than functional. They were intricate, almost alive, with a pulse and rhythm that dictated the cruiser's every move and action. Their power and limitations encapsulated both the grandeur and struggles of the Dreadnought-class Heavy Cruiser, making it an enduring icon of military might. At the core of the Dreadnought's ability to move within star systems were its 6 ion engines. These colossal propulsion systems were positioned in a linear array at the vessel's stern, each one a towering mechanism designed to convert immense amounts of plasma into thrust. The engines operated by ionizing superheated plasma and accelerating it through electromagnetic fields to produce a powerful stream of particles ejected into space. This reaction generated the thrust needed to propel the massive warship forward. The engine's combined output enabled the Dreadnought to reach a respectable 13 megalight-years per hour, a measure of its sublight speed. While this velocity was sufficient for its role as a heavy cruiser, it paled in comparison to the swift movements of smaller vessels like corvettes and starfighters. The Dreadnought's design philosophy prioritized endurance and firepower over agility, resulting in a propulsion system optimized for long hauls, and sustained engagements rather than rapid maneuvers. Despite their power, the ion engines were not without their challenges. Their sheer size and complexity required constant maintenance, with entire teams of engineers dedicated to ensuring that the plasma conduits and magnetic containment fields remained stable under extreme pressures. Any failure could result in catastrophic plasma leaks or destabilization of the thrust vectoring system. Furthermore, the engine's voracious appetite for fuel placed a significant strain on the Dreadnaught's logistics, necessitating frequent resupply missions to sustain operations during extended campaigns. The engines also played a role in the ship's iconic profile. Their exhaust ports glowed with a fierce blue-white light, visible for kilometers in the vacuum of space, creating a visual signature that was as awe-inspiring as it was intimidating. The roar of these engines during ignition could be felt as a physical vibration throughout the ship, a reminder of the immense power harnessed within their structures. No vessel could claim true galactic relevance without the ability to traverse hyperspace, and the Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruiser was no exception. Equipped with 6 hyperdrive engines, this warship was capable of punching through the fabric of space-time to travel between star systems. Its original Class 4 hyperdrive was serviceable but slow by galactic standards, making it a capable but not swift traveler. Over time, many dreadnoughts were retrofitted with Class 2 hyperdrives, significantly improving their strategic mobility and reducing transit times during wartime. The hyperdrive engines worked by creating a hyperspace field around the vessel, allowing it to slip into an alternate dimension where the laws of physics governing light speed were bypassed. Each engine in the network played a vital role, ensuring that the ship's mass was evenly distributed within the field to prevent structural instability. The system's hyperspace motivators, highly calibrated devices, determined the exact parameters of the ship's entry and exit points in hyperspace. A single error in calculation could have catastrophic consequences, ranging from veering off course into uncharted space to colliding with objects at superluminal speeds. Supporting the primary hyperdrive was a Class 18 backup hyperdrive, a relic of cautious engineering. This system, while excruciatingly slow, provided a lifeline in case of primary hyperdrive failure, allowing the ship to limp back to friendly space or to the nearest repair depot. The redundancy reflected the Republic's recognition of the ship's importance as a strategic asset. Losing a dreadnought to hyperspace malfunction was deemed unacceptable. Operating the hyperdrive engines required a team of highly skilled navigators and technicians who relied on astromech droids and navigational computers to calculate safe hyperspace routes. Each jump was a calculated risk, with the stakes heightened by the dreadnought's size and mass. Its entry into hyperspace was a spectacle in itself, with the ship's silhouette stretching momentarily as it pierced the veil between dimensions, vanishing into the shimmering blue tunnel of faster-than-light travel. Driving both the ion and hyperdrive engines, as well as the ship's formidable array of weapons and shields, were the Dreadnaught's power generators. These systems were monumental in scale, producing a peak energy output of approximately 1.93 times 10 to the 24th watts, enough to power entire cities or vaporize them outright. Housed deep within the ship's armored core, the generators were designed to operate under extreme conditions, ensuring a steady energy supply even during intense combat. The primary power generators utilized plasma reactors, which converted raw hypermatter into plasma energy. This plasma was then distributed throughout the ship via a network of conduits, feeding the engines, weapon systems, life support, and shields. Despite their immense output, the generators were notoriously inefficient. They consumed vast quantities of fuel, necessitating regular resupply missions and limiting the cruiser's operational range during prolonged campaigns. This inefficiency was exacerbated by the demands of the ship's multiple systems. The ion engines alone required a significant portion of the generator's output to maintain thrust, while the hyperdrive engines demanded enormous energy surges during hyperspace transitions. Additionally, the power-intensive turbo-laser batteries and quad-laser cannons relied on the same energy pool, creating constant competition for resources. During combat, the ship's engineers were often forced to prioritize energy allocation, balancing the needs of propulsion, defense, and offense in a high-stakes juggling act. Despite these challenges, the power generators were robust and resilient. They were encased in reinforced housings to protect against enemy fire and internal malfunctions, ensuring that the Dreadnought could continue to function even under sustained assault. Emergency protocols included automatic shut-off systems and energy dampeners to prevent overloads, though such measures were a last resort, as they left the ship vulnerable and immobile. Together, the ion engines, hyperdrive engines, and power generators formed a symbiotic relationship, each system dependent on the others to maintain the Dreadnaught's operations. Yet this relationship was far from harmonious. The engines demanded vast amounts of energy, the power generators strained to provide it, and the inefficiency of the entire system created a constant tension between capability and limitation. This internal struggle was mirrored in the ship's broader role within the Republic Navy. The Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruiser was a vessel of contradictions, immense but ponderous, powerful but resource-hungry, resilient but inflexible. Its propulsion and power systems encapsulated these traits, driving the ship forward even as they revealed its vulnerabilities. In the end, the Dreadnought was a creature of its time, a warship built to project strength in an era where size and firepower were paramount. Its engines roared with the force of untamed plasma, its hyperdrives tore through space-time with calculated fury, and its power generators pulsed with the energy of 1,000 suns. It was a machine that defied its limitations, lumbering across the galaxy as a symbol of the Republic's might and the enduring complexity of its engineering legacy. The Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruiser was a formidable testament to the technical prowess and strategic foresight of its creators. A ship designed not merely to survive the rigors of war, but to dominate the void. With its imposing physical dimensions, 600 meters in length, 116.5 meters in width, and 129.7 meters in height, including its lower sensor array, this massive vessel was a floating fortress, built to inspire both awe and fear. Every detail of its design was a reflection of the Republic's military objectives: firepower, resilience, and versatility. The Dreadnaught's hull, rated at 1,056 resistance units, was constructed from layers of reinforced durasteel and enhanced composite materials. This fusion of high-grade alloys formed a robust skeletal frame capable of withstanding sustained bombardments from a wide range of weaponry. Its shape was angular and purposeful, designed not for elegance but for function. The hull itself was a patchwork of armor plating, shaped not merely to withstand impacts, but to deflect them, guiding incoming projectiles away from the vessel's vulnerable components. The front section, especially around the command tower and sensor arrays, was heavily reinforced to endure the most intense attacks, while the rear section was similarly armored to protect the propulsion systems. The central superstructure, where the bulk of the vessel's operations were conducted, was both the ship's heart and its most exposed part, balancing strategic vulnerability with operational necessity. Here, amidst the humming of advanced machinery, the command officers and crew coordinated their responses to the ever-changing tides of battle, the ship's heart beating in time with their efforts. Around the superstructure, the armor plates were segmented and interlocked, designed not only for protection but for efficient repair. The modular construction of the hull allowed for easy replacement of damaged sections, meaning that even if a part of the vessel took critical damage, the repairs could be made quickly in the middle of a conflict. The external panels, reinforced with self-repairing alloys, allowed the ship to withstand the destructive forces that could tear apart lesser warships. Equally important to the Dreadnaught's formidable design was its shielding system, rated at 1920 SBD, standardized battle durability. These shields surrounded the ship like an invisible cocoon, designed to absorb and redirect the energy from direct hits and beam weaponry, making the cruiser a near-impenetrable fortress in space. Comprised of multiple energy layers, each equipped with redundant systems to prevent catastrophic failure, the shields could be adjusted and reallocated to the most vulnerable areas in real time, ensuring that the Dreadnought remained resilient even under the heaviest of assaults. The primary energy emitters were distributed across the hull, concentrated around the ship's most critical components, such as the reactor core and command deck. When activated, these energy fields would shimmer and hum with immense power, giving the impression that the ship itself was a living entity, absorbing the power of the cosmos to protect itself. However, the shields were not invulnerable. The energy output required to maintain these defenses was enormous, and under sustained heavy fire, the shields would eventually buckle. In such a scenario, the Dreadnought would rely on its robust armor to absorb the remaining impacts, buying time for repairs and countermeasures. Internally, the Dreadnought was a vast network of interconnected chambers, passages, and compartments, each purpose-built for specific functions. The inner workings of the ship were like the arteries and veins of a living creature, carrying supplies, energy, and data between the various segments that kept it running smoothly. The lower decks were primarily dedicated to engineering and auxiliary functions, housing the ship's massive reactors and maintenance bays. These sections buzzed with activity, where technicians and engineers worked tirelessly to ensure the ship's many systems were functioning properly. The cooling units for the reactors, the power generators that fed the engines, and the vast data networks that linked all sections of the ship were all found here, tightly packed into the lower levels. The midship sections housed the living quarters and operational hubs, providing space for the hundreds of personnel who maintained and operated the vessel. These sections were quieter, offering some respite from the endless hum of machinery that dominated the lower decks. Crew members here lived in barracks-style quarters, though the higher ranks had access to more comfortable rooms. Despite the utilitarian nature of the ship, the command deck stood as a beacon of efficiency, a space brimming with both advanced technology and human ingenuity. Officers and strategists worked around large holographic tables, directing battle tactics and engaging in fleet-wide coordination efforts. The upper levels of the Dreadnought were the command center, where the heart of the ship's operations pulsed. Here, surrounded by reinforced glass and protective barriers, the ship's commanders could see the space around them, ready to make tactical decisions in real time. The ship was equipped with multiple redundant communications arrays, ensuring that the Dreadnought could communicate with both friendly forces and command fleets at great distances. This connectivity was crucial for coordinating large-scale operations and ensuring that the ship's actions were aligned with the larger strategic picture. The sensor systems of the Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruiser were among the most advanced in the fleet, designed for comprehensive detection and analysis of the surrounding space. With its medium-range primary and secondary sensor transceivers, the Dreadnought could detect enemy ships, incoming projectiles, and other objects of interest from vast distances. These sensors were distributed across the hull in various arrays, some of which were designed to handle long-range scanning, while others were fine-tuned for close-quarters detection, allowing the ship to maintain an ever-vigilant watch on its surroundings. The navigation systems aboard the Dreadnought were a marvel of modern engineering, capable of charting hyperspace courses through even the most dangerous and heavily trafficked routes. The ship's crew could seamlessly navigate through asteroid fields, debris clouds, and hostile environments, thanks to a combination of stellar cartography, navigational charts, and automated course plotting systems. When it came to navigating through the turbulent space surrounding an enemy fleet, the Dreadnought's guidance systems ensured that the cruiser could maneuver with precision, no matter how chaotic the battle became. The lower sensor array, extending from beneath the central body of the ship, provided a 360-degree view of its environment. This gave the Dreadnought unparalleled awareness of its surroundings, ensuring that no threat could easily approach undetected. These sensors were crucial for both offensive and defensive maneuvers, providing real-time data to the weapon systems and shielding adjustments. Despite its imposing and nearly indestructible nature, the Dreadnought class was equipped with several escape pods, a nod to the underlying concern for the safety of its crew. These escape pods were distributed throughout the ship, stored in strategic locations, so that every member of the crew had a potential route to safety should the worst happen. Though the Dreadnought's design was focused on durability, it was not impervious to the chaos of war, and in moments of crisis, these escape pods provided a lifeline, ensuring that lives could be preserved even in the face of overwhelming destruction. Each pod was equipped with life support systems and a small supply of resources to ensure survival during extended periods in space. They were designed to be launched quickly, carrying survivors to nearby safe zones or to awaiting rescue vessels. Despite the vessel's advanced design and overwhelming firepower, the inclusion of these escape pods reflected a deep-seated understanding that, in the vastness of space, even the mightiest warships could be vulnerable. In every way, the Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruiser embodied the strategic thinking of its time. It was a ship built for war, forged in the fires of an ongoing galactic conflict, and it carried with it the legacy of countless battles fought. Its hull was a fortress, its shielding a protective barrier, its sensors and navigation systems a keen set of eyes and hands guiding it through the stars. It was a living entity, a creature of war, destined to endure the cruelties of battle, to feel the weight of its mission, and to carry out the will of its masters across the stars. Its design was not just about surviving the conflict, but about thriving within it, ever ready for the next challenge that the galaxy would throw its way. The hangar complement of the Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruiser, though originally not designed with carrier operations in mind, became a testament to the adaptability and ingenuity inherent in the military culture of the galaxy. As the ship was refitted and upgraded throughout its service life, the central cargo holds were retrofitted into vast hangar spaces, capable of housing a diverse array of starfighters, support craft, and ground assault vehicles. These changes reflected a shift in strategic priorities. Where once the Dreadnought was a vessel built for power and resilience, it now embodied versatility, capable of deploying fighter craft and supporting ground forces in addition to its mighty turbo-laser batteries. At the core of the Dreadnought's hangar complement was a squadron of 12 TIE starfighters, the ubiquitous angular fighters that symbolized the Imperial presence throughout the galaxy. These ships, powered by the iconic standardized drive engines of the Clone Wars era, were designed to swarm in numbers, overwhelming enemy defenses with their speed and precision. While the initial design of the Dreadnought was never focused on carrier operations, the incorporation of these versatile fighters was essential to the ship's role in engaging enemy starfighters, bombers, and smaller craft. Their presence provided a crucial offensive capability, allowing the Dreadnought to extend its reach beyond the limitations of its heavy turbo-laser firepower. The TIE series starfighters, most commonly seen in their Imperial refitted form, were lean and agile, designed for speed and rapid engagement. These craft, with their twin ion engines and hexagonal solar panels, were the perfect complement to the Dreadnought's heavy cruiser capabilities. Able to quickly adapt to combat situations, intercept enemy craft, and scout ahead of the larger vessel, these starfighters formed a key element of the Dreadnought's aerial defense strategy, creating a barrier of hostile fire that would make it difficult for enemy squadrons to breach the formidable vessel's shields and assault the cruiser directly. In addition to the standard TIE starfighters, the Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruiser was routinely complemented by a number of I-7 Howl Runners, a model of starfighter that offered more versatility for a variety of roles, from intercepting enemy bombers to performing reconnaissance. These craft were known for their sleek profile and deadly accuracy in dogfights, their heavy firepower rivaling that of more specialized starfighters. While they did not match the speed of the TIE series in sustained combat, the Howl Runners provided excellent support for the Dreadnought's operational flexibility, allowing it to rapidly respond to a variety of aerial threats. These ships were often deployed to harry enemy fighters, prevent bombing runs, and provide a formidable defense for the larger capital ship. Beyond the primary starfighters, the Dreadnought also accommodated at least one shuttle, an essential component for tactical missions involving boarding operations, reconnaissance, and emergency evacuations. These shuttlecraft were the lifeblood of the ship's logistical and ground operations, capable of transporting personnel, supplies, and injured soldiers to and from the battlefield. They allowed the Dreadnought to project its power beyond the confines of space warfare, bridging the gap between the combatants in the heavens and the forces on the ground. While their primary function was support, these shuttles were also equipped with defensive capabilities, such as blaster turrets, to ensure they could make it through hostile environments when necessary. The all-terrain personal transports, ATPTS, were another vital component of the ship's ground assault capabilities. These compact, versatile walkers were deployed by the Dreadnaught-class cruiser to provide vital support for planetary invasions, acting as mobile artillery and reconnaissance units. The ruggedness of these vehicles, coupled with their ability to traverse difficult terrain and engage enemy ground forces with their heavy blasters, made them indispensable for planetary assaults, allowing the Dreadnought's commander to maintain pressure on the enemy forces on the ground. While the TIE starfighters became the standard, the Dreadnaught-class cruiser was often modified to fit the needs of the fleet it was assigned to. Ships of non-Imperial origin, like the Longshot, carried a modified complement of cloak-shaped fighters, a more specialized craft designed for stealth and surprise attacks. These fighters were equipped with advanced cloaking technology that allowed them to operate in environments where conventional starfighters could not, making them a useful asset for covert operations and surprise engagements. In the case of ships like the Longshot, this meant carrying at least 6 of these ships, integrated into the cruiser's more flexible operational template. Similarly, the New Hope, a ship serving with the New Republic, featured an eclectic complement of starfighters. Its hangar was home to several X-Wing fighters, the Republic's stalwart symbol of resistance. These versatile craft were capable of operating in both space and atmosphere, making them invaluable in defending the cruiser against a wide range of threats. Along with these X-Wings, the New Hope also carried assault shuttles, providing support for the ship's deployment of infantry, as well as lifeboats for emergency evacuations. Notably, the HWK-290 light freighter was also stored in the ship's hangar, a craft used for long-range reconnaissance and transporting supplies to distant locations. This adaptability was a hallmark of the Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruiser, allowing it to serve not only in traditional warfare, but also in humanitarian missions, covert operations, and specialized military engagements. Perhaps the most ambitious modification of the Dreadnaught-class's hangar came with the Leviathan, a vessel designed specifically for anti-pirate operations within the Republic's military. Featuring an extended hangar, the Leviathan could accommodate up to 60 starfighters, a staggering number for a ship that was initially designed as a heavy cruiser. This capability allowed the Leviathan to deploy a substantial air armada, capable of overwhelming enemy forces and providing near-complete air superiority in contested regions. The sheer scale of the extended hangar was a testament to the adaptability and versatility of the Dreadnaught-class design, capable of being tailored to fit the specific needs of each mission, fleet, or theater of war. Inside the vast expanse of the Dreadnaught-class cruiser's hangar, the ship's crew and fighters worked in perfect synchrony. The space was filled with the hum of engines, the clatter of maintenance droids, and the calls of crew members as they prepared for the next sortie. The fighters, whether TIE starships, Howl runners, or X-Wings, sat lined up, ready to be deployed in a moment's notice, each one part of a greater effort to impose the will of their commanders on the galaxy. The hangar bays were not just spaces for storing fighters, but microcosms of the ship's operational philosophy, a reminder that the Dreadnaught-class cruiser, while a titan in its own right, was never far from the need for precision, speed, and adaptability in the ever-evolving conflict that raged across the stars. With this diverse and capable complement, the Dreadnaught-class cruiser stood ready to engage in almost any conflict, whether in the air, on the ground, or in the depths of space. It was a testament to the design flexibility of the vessel, and a reminder that no matter the nature of the battle, the Dreadnought was a force to be reckoned with. The Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruiser is not merely a warship. It is a colossal testament to military engineering, requiring a vast array of specialized personnel, automated systems, and technological sophistication to function at its peak. Every inch of this mighty vessel is dedicated to the art of warfare, and at the heart of its prowess lies the complex network of crew members who breathe life into the ship. From its towering bridge to the low hum of its engine decks, the Dreadnought class requires a finely tuned balance of expert hands and eyes to guide it through the trials of galactic conflict. This ship is a living, breathing entity, sustained by the men and women who serve aboard her, all driven by a singular purpose: to ensure the Empire's dominion over the stars. The Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruiser's core crew is an intricate web of officers, specialists, and support staff, numbering a total of 16,113 personnel. Each member is rigorously trained in the arts of war, engineering, tactics, and technology, ensuring the ship's flawless operation. From the commanding officer in the Grand Bridge to the last engineer working tirelessly in the depths of the hull, each person plays an essential role in the ship's operations. Their daily routines are governed by strict protocols, as the complexity of this warship demands coordination across every department, with each individual connected to the broader whole by an intricate communication system that ensures no detail goes unnoticed. At the helm of the Dreadnought, officers skilled in both combat and logistics work in unison to devise strategies that take full advantage of the cruiser's impressive armament and technology. They are masters of military strategy, constantly scanning for tactical weaknesses in the enemy's defenses. Their decisions shape the course of entire battles, and their ability to make rapid, informed decisions ensures that the Dreadnought class remains a feared vessel in the galaxy's wars. Behind them, a vast network of support personnel operates the ship's sensors, communication systems, and tactical displays, processing and relaying data at breakneck speeds to ensure that the crew stays a step ahead of the enemy. The true power of the Dreadnought class comes from its formidable weapon systems, and the responsibility of managing and firing these weapons falls to a highly trained cadre of 97 gunners. These specialists are not simply soldiers. They are experts in the precision management and operation of the ship's turbo laser batteries, laser cannons, and quad laser turrets. The sheer weight of responsibility upon their shoulders is immense. These gunners hold the key to unleashing the immense firepower that can obliterate entire fleets in mere moments. Each gunner is well versed in the subtle differences of every weapon system aboard the Dreadnought class. The turbo lasers, for instance, are massive energy cannons capable of shattering capital ships with a single shot. The gunners must understand the intricacies of each system, ensuring that the ship's fore and aft turbo laser batteries are perfectly synchronized during battle. Meanwhile, the quad laser turrets, strategically placed along the port and starboard sides of the ship, offer superior flexibility and can engage smaller, more agile targets, like starfighters or incoming missiles. The gunner's ability to maintain constant readiness, even under intense stress, is what gives the Dreadnought class its fearsome reputation. But it is not just the sheer firepower that the gunners wield. It is the precision with which they use it. Each shot must be calculated, every salvo considered, as the gunners adjust for distance, speed, and energy output. A single misfire could result in a catastrophic failure, but these gunners work in perfect harmony, calculating the perfect trajectories and making adjustments with split-second timing. They are the ship's offensive lifeblood, capable of turning the tide of battle with a single well-placed blast. While the standard crew complement of the Dreadnought class is formidable, the Katana Fleet-style variant offers a streamlined design, cutting the crew count down to 2,204 personnel. This reduction in crew size highlights the cruiser's ability to operate with remarkable efficiency and automation. The technology aboard these ships has evolved, with the reliance on manual labor reduced through advanced systems that handle much of the ship's maintenance and combat functions. While still a formidable fighting force, these ships are designed to operate in more specialized roles, where swift deployment and minimal crew are crucial for success. In this configuration, fewer officers are needed, but each is highly skilled and multifaceted, with many taking on multiple responsibilities. The ship's engineering and tactical systems have been optimized to operate with far less human intervention. The reduced crew size, however, does not mean a decrease in the ship's combat potential. Rather, it allows for more direct and precise responses to the rapidly evolving demands of battle. Even with a smaller crew, the ship can still deploy its quad laser cannons, turbo laser batteries, and heavy laser cannons with brutal efficiency, proving that even in a streamlined form, the Dreadnought class remains a potent force. Despite its massive size and power, the Dreadnought class can function effectively with a minimum crew of 9,000, highlighting the ship's self-sufficiency and the sheer sophistication of its design. This crew reduction represents the height of military engineering, where the ship's internal systems are so finely tuned that they can run autonomously with minimal human intervention. The ship's automated systems handle much of the workload, from navigation to maintenance, allowing the reduced crew to focus on the most critical tasks, such as defense, strategic decisions, and coordination with other fleet assets. The Dreadnought class, even in this minimal configuration, maintains its full complement of weapons, shields, and support systems. The automated systems ensure that the turbo laser batteries fire with the same lethal efficiency, while the sensors and communications stay fully operational, keeping the crew apprised of any threats in the area. The ship's resilience in the face of reduced manpower is a testament to its advanced design, a machine that can operate on the fringes of space with minimal human presence, but never loses its deadly edge. Beyond the technical personnel and gunners, the Dreadnought class also supports the deployment of 3,000 troops, Soldiers trained to storm enemy strongholds, secure key positions, and maintain control over planetside operations. These troops are equipped with the latest in personal combat technology, including all-terrain personal transports and shuttles that allow for rapid deployment in any environment. They are the heart of the Dreadnaught's offensive power, carrying the war to the enemy's doorstep. The soldiers aboard the Dreadnought class are chosen for their bravery and tactical ingenuity, capable of navigating hostile terrain, battling opposing forces, and securing vital assets for the Republic. The ship is also capable of carrying a substantial amount of cargo, up to 9,000 metric tons, which includes everything from supplies and ammunition to medical equipment and rations for the troops. This ensures that the Dreadnought class remains a self-sufficient force, capable of operating independently for long durations in deep space. It is not simply a warship, it is a mobile fortress, capable of sustaining both its crew and its soldiers during prolonged campaigns. For long-duration missions, the Dreadnought class can operate for up to 2 years without resupply, a remarkable feat of engineering that allows the ship to function as a self-sustaining war machine in deep space. This capacity ensures that the Dreadnought class can remain on the front lines, constantly moving, constantly striking, with no need to return to port for resupply. The crew, soldiers, and officers are capable of withstanding long voyages, ensuring the ship remains operational regardless of the trials of the galaxy's vastness. In the end, the Dreadnought class is not merely a vessel, it is a complex ecosystem, a self-contained war machine whose every component plays an essential role in its continued dominance. From the crew that guides it through the stars, to the gunners who unleash its devastating firepower, each member of the Dreadnought class plays a part in the ship's purpose: to strike fear into the hearts of its enemies, to hold the galaxy under the firm grip of its ironclad might. The Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruiser stands as a monument to the artistry of warship design and the industrial prowess of the galaxy's greatest shipbuilders. Its creation is not merely a tale of metal and technology, it is the story of ambition, foresight, and a vision that sought to shape the very fabric of galactic warfare. Born from the mind of a skilled craftsman, the Dreadnought class was conceived long before the Clone Wars, during an era when the galaxy was still reeling from the ashes of the Mandalorian Wars. This was a time when military power was measured not just by numbers, but by the quality of ships that could dominate entire battlefields, cutting through opposition like a blade through butter. And so, Rendili Stardrive, the renowned manufacturer known for their mastery in shipbuilding, set forth on a mission to create a vessel that would echo the might of the ancient Mandalorian dreadnoughts, while propelling the galaxy into the age of modern warfare. Introduced to the galaxy around 119 BBY, the Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruiser was the culmination of years of careful planning, design, and refinement. Rendili Stardrive, already well respected for their cutting-edge military technology, was tasked with crafting a ship that could serve the dual purpose of a powerful deterrent and a reliable workhorse in the vast expanse of space. The company, founded centuries earlier and famed for its expertise in creating durable, combat-ready vessels, was the perfect choice to undertake such a monumental project. The Dreadnought class was not an invention pulled from the ether, but rather a ship that was built upon the lessons learned from the towering Mandalorian Kandosi-type dreadnoughts, a testament to Rendili Stardrive's meticulous study of history and its adaptation to the galaxy's ever-evolving needs. Designed specifically for the Republic Judicial Forces and intended as a flagship for planetary security forces, the Dreadnought class was envisioned as a symbol of law and order. Its imposing size, powerful armament, and durable hull made it a perfect fit for defending key systems and ensuring that the Republic's ideals were upheld in the furthest reaches of the galaxy. From its conception, the Dreadnought class was more than just a warship. It was a statement. It was an embodiment of the Republic's desire to project power and maintain control in a galaxy teetering on the edge of instability. The Dreadnought class was not an inexpensive creation. At a price tag of 7,200,000 credits, each vessel was an investment that few could afford without the backing of powerful governments or military organizations. This cost was reflective of the cruiser's size, its advanced weaponry, and the exceptional craftsmanship required to ensure it was battle-ready for years to come. Each Dreadnought class was meticulously constructed, utilizing the finest materials, cutting-edge technology, and a team of highly skilled workers, ensuring that every inch of the ship could withstand the harshest conditions in space and the fiercest battles in the galaxy. This was not a ship designed to be disposable. It was designed to be a long-term investment in security and power. However, like any great creation, the Dreadnought class was not immune to the harsh realities of war. The black market value of a used Dreadnought class could soar to 35,555,000 credits, reflecting both the demand for such a formidable vessel and the scarcity of these ships on the open market. In the wake of the Clone Wars and the shifting allegiances that followed, these ships became valuable assets to those who could afford them, fiercely coveted by warlords, pirates, and mercenaries looking to establish themselves as forces to be reckoned with. While their official cost may have been reserved for governments and military leaders, the Dreadnought class represented a prize worth many times its original price in the hands of the right buyer. The design of the Dreadnought class was deeply influenced by the past, specifically by the Mandalorian Candosi-type dreadnoughts that had once ruled the battlefield during the Mandalorian Wars. These ancient ships were known for their size, strength, and resilience, and they left a lasting legacy that would be woven into the very fabric of the Dreadnought class. As the Republic sought to prepare for the threats posed by the growing Separatist alliance, the shipbuilders at Rendley Star Drive looked to the past for inspiration, seeking to create a ship that could combine the sheer power of the Candosi dreadnoughts with the technological advancements of the modern age. The result was a heavy cruiser that possessed not only the strength to hold its own in battle, but also the flexibility to adapt to the ever-changing demands of galactic warfare. The Dreadnought class was born of necessity, crafted by an understanding of the galaxy's turbulent history and a vision for the future. It was not just a ship, it was a carefully constructed tool of war, designed to project power across the galaxy and to remind all who encountered it of the Republic's unwavering resolve. With its arrival in 119 BBY, the Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruiser cemented itself as one of the most formidable and versatile warships ever created, and it would continue to serve as a cornerstone of military strategy for decades to come. The legacy of the Dreadnought class lies not just in its history, but in its enduring presence as a symbol of what happens when skill, ambition, and technology converge. From the drawing boards of Rendley Star Drive to the battlefield, the Dreadnought class became a mainstay in the Republic's arsenal. It would go on to serve as the foundation for many future designs, influencing countless generations of warships and military engineers. The Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruiser was not merely a product of its time. It was a ship ahead of its time, its design philosophy enduring far beyond its original creators, shaping the future of starship warfare for centuries to come. The Dreadnought-class Heavy Cruisers had an illustrious and tumultuous history, shaped by the needs and ambitions of those who wielded them. Commissioned during a time when galactic unrest was simmering beneath the surface, these ships were originally designed to assert the authority of the Republic judicial forces and to safeguard the Republic's vast territories. Their introduction marked a significant moment in military history, as the Dreadnought class sought to blend the legacy of the past with the promises of future technological advancements. However, their service was not without flaws, and the path they would follow was anything but predictable. At first, the Dreadnought-class cruisers were seen as a triumph of engineering. They were large, heavily armed vessels, capable of laying waste to enemy forces and standing as monuments to the Republic's military might. Their capacity to patrol vast sectors and their formidable weaponry made them indispensable for maintaining order across the galaxy. For a time, they were seen as the pinnacle of naval warfare in the Republic's arsenal. However, as time passed, it became clear that despite their strengths, the Dreadnought class was not without its shortcomings. The ships, though powerful, were still burdened by a significant flaw: their immense crew requirements. A single dreadnought could need upwards of 16,000 personnel to operate at full efficiency, making these ships a logistical nightmare to maintain. This was particularly problematic given the galaxy's ever-growing conflicts and the stretched resources of the Republic during the Clone Wars. To remedy this issue, the Galactic Republic military turned to a new and experimental technology. The slave circuitry system was a technological leap forward, designed to automate much of the ship's functions, thus reducing the need for such large crews. The idea was simple, yet audacious. Install a fully rigged slave circuitry system into the dreadnoughts, and the crew size could be drastically reduced, allowing for a more manageable number of personnel, approximately 2,200 per ship. This would solve many of the logistical issues and would allow the Republic to deploy more ships with fewer personnel. The slave circuitry system was installed in 200 of the Dreadnaught-class cruisers, transforming them into the infamous Katana fleet. This fleet was initially heralded as a success, as it reduced the strain on the Republic's resources and provided an efficient means to field powerful warships. The project, however, would soon take a turn for the worse. The Katana fleet, designed to bolster the Republic's strength, became a symbol of one of the greatest failures in the history of galactic warfare. A terrible flaw in the slave circuitry system, a malfunction that no one could have predicted, led to disaster. The ships of the Katana fleet were infected by a hive virus, a rogue biological agent that was capable of affecting the automated systems of the cruisers. The virus, once integrated into the systems, began to unravel the crew's minds, driving them to madness. What followed was a horrifying chain of events. The virus, controlling the dreadnoughts through their slave circuitry, drove the Katana fleet's crews to commit acts of madness. The ships, now effectively controlled by a collective and corrupted consciousness, slaved the entire fleet together. Driven by the virus, they made a random and impulsive jump into hyperspace, unable to navigate or control their movements. The fleet's journey through hyperspace was chaotic, and soon, the virus finished its grim task, killing off every crew member aboard. The fate of the Katana fleet became one of the most tragic and mysterious episodes in galactic history. The ships, once thought to be an unbeatable force, became little more than drifting tombs. The slave circuitry system, once hailed as the solution to the Republic's crew issues, had instead turned the Dreadnought class into an uncontrollable, deadly force that left no survivors. While the Katana fleet was an infamous chapter in the history of the Dreadnought class, the technology that caused its demise was not easily abandoned. Another fleet, the Rendili Home Defense Fleet, made use of the same slave circuitry system in its own dreadnoughts, but with less catastrophic results. The use of the system was controversial, given the events of the Katana fleet. Yet the Rendili Home Defense Fleet continued to deploy these dreadnoughts throughout the galaxy. While the slave circuitry system was still in use, it was clear that the risks associated with this technology had never fully been eradicated, casting a dark shadow over the Dreadnaught-class legacy. As the Dreadnaught-class cruisers continued to serve throughout the galaxy, they found their place in numerous other ambitious ventures. One of the most famous projects in which the dreadnoughts played a significant role was the Outbound Flight Project, a mission aimed at extragalactic exploration. Aboard the project's expeditionary fleet, 6 Dreadnaught-class cruisers were used as the backbone of the fleet, their strength and power intended to protect the expedition from the unknown threats that lay beyond the galaxy. However, the Outbound Flight Project, much like the Katana fleet, would not meet a peaceful end. The project faced its own set of failures, and the Dreadnaught-class cruisers, though formidable, proved unable to safeguard the expedition from the dangers lurking in the unknown regions. The tragedy of the Outbound Flight Project would resonate throughout galactic history, and the Dreadnought class's role in it became a reminder of how even the most powerful warships could be defeated by forces beyond their control. The history of the Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruiser is one of both triumph and tragedy. Initially designed to be a beacon of power and security for the Republic, these ships soon became entwined in dark and disturbing events that marred their legacy. From the Katana fleet's catastrophic failure to their use in the ill-fated Outbound Flight Project, the Dreadnought class served as a symbol of the unforeseen consequences of technological ambition. Yet, despite the failures, these ships also stood as enduring icons of the power and complexity of warship design, their strength and firepower continuing to shape the course of galactic events for centuries. The Dreadnought class may have had its dark moments, but it remains an indelible part of history, a vessel forever linked to the grand tapestry of galactic warfare. In addition to the mighty warships wielded by galactic powers like the Republic and the Separatists, the Dreadnaught-class heavy cruisers found a varied and somewhat unexpected place in the hands of local forces scattered throughout the galaxy. These ships, though originally designed for the Republic judicial forces, offered a more cost-effective and accessible alternative for smaller, less industrialized worlds seeking to defend themselves. While the wealthiest and most heavily industrialized sectors of the galaxy had access to massive cutting-edge warships, the Dreadnought class served as a more viable solution for many of the Outer Rim's less fortunate planets and organizations. These local forces often had to make do with whatever they could get their hands on, relying on older designs and salvaged technologies to fashion ships capable of defending their worlds against piracy, smuggling, and the encroachment of larger galactic factions. The galaxy's remote and underdeveloped Outer Rim territories were subject to harsh trade restrictions imposed by the Trade Federation, which further isolated them from the more advanced fleets and resources of the core worlds. As a result, these planets often turned to homegrown solutions, utilizing everything from modified civilian vessels to decommissioned warships, and sometimes even repurposed designs from previous generations of military craft. The Dreadnaught-class cruisers, with their solid structure and potent firepower, were one such vessel that found favor in these regions. Their construction was relatively inexpensive compared to the vast battleships used by the Trade Federation, making them an attractive option for the smaller worlds of the galaxy's fringes. The Utapawan Security Force, for instance, constructed several Dreadnought-class ships to serve as anti-piracy vessels, using them to patrol their sector and safeguard their mining and resource operations from marauding pirates who plagued the outer reaches of the galaxy. In the case of Utapau, their largest Rendili cruiser was notably smaller, 1/5 the size of the massive Trade Federation battleships, but it proved highly effective for their specific needs. The Utapawan modifications to the design reflected the world's unique needs and limitations, creating a localized variant of the cruiser that balanced firepower with practicality. This focus on adaptability was common among the smaller factions that utilized the Dreadnought class, as they often had to customize the ships to fit the strategic realities of their circumstances. Similarly, the Rendili Home Defense Fleet adopted the Dreadnought class for its own purposes, further cementing the ship's role as a symbol of defensive power for smaller, more localized governments. Unlike the large-scale military forces of the Republic or the Separatists, the Rendili fleet used these ships to protect their homeworld from external threats and to patrol local sectors. These ships, stripped of the grand strategic importance they had once held, were repurposed for more modest, but still vital, defensive roles. With the Dreadnought class serving as the cornerstone of the Rendili Home Defense Fleet, these vessels found themselves employed in smaller-scale conflicts, providing protection against piracy and other disturbances in the region. The Dreadnought-class cruisers, once designed for massive galactic fleets, had found a new role within the fabric of local defense forces. They were not the towering giants of interstellar war, but rather the resolute defenders of worlds striving to protect their independence in a galaxy full of uncertainty. Their use by such disparate forces showcased the inherent versatility of the design. Whether as anti-piracy vessels, localized military defense ships, or the backbone of a small fleet, the Dreadnought-class cruisers became the silent sentinels of the Outer Rim, guarding the fringes of galactic civilization with steadfast reliability. Throughout the Clone Wars, the Dreadnought-class Heavy Cruisers played a crucial role in the galaxy's vast and complex conflict, particularly among the Republic's planetary security forces and the volunteer militaries that supported the war effort. With the Republic's most advanced assault ships and star destroyers predominantly assigned to clone crews and the Republic's most elite officers, the Dreadnought class provided a more accessible and versatile solution for local defense forces. These ships were not bound to the exclusive use of the Republic's core military structure, but were deployed widely across the galaxy, offering both strategic importance and practical application to those who could not rely on the larger, more specialized warships. The Dreadnoughts were notably present in key battles during the war, such as the Battle of Duro, the Battle of Rendili, and the Battle of Coruscant. These engagements saw Dreadnought-class vessels engage in strategic support roles, offering vital firepower and contributing to the defense of critical worlds against Separatist forces. The ships were primarily tasked with bolstering the defense of these key planets, acting as defensive bulwarks that could absorb the heat of battle and provide fire support in the most intense confrontations. While the larger ships of the Republic's fleet, such as the Venator-class star destroyers and Acclamator-class assault ships, were primarily reserved for the Republic's elite forces, the Dreadnought-class vessels found their purpose in supporting the efforts of planetary security forces. which included civilian-led militias, and volunteer fleets from worlds outside the core systems. These forces were often responsible for defending their own sectors from the advance of the Separatists, relying on the rugged reliability and potent weaponry of the Dreadnought class to hold their ground. As a result, the Dreadnought-class cruisers became familiar sights in the defense of key Republic worlds. One of the notable updates during the Clone Wars was the introduction of the TIE starfighters aboard some of the Dreadnought-class ships. The TIE starfighter, originally designed for the Imperial fleet, was adapted and used by the Republic to provide a versatile starfighter complement to Dreadnought-class cruisers. This addition helped to maximize the available space within the vessel, allowing the Dreadnoughts to better combat enemy starfighters and patrol the skies during battles. The smaller, agile TIE starfighters were deployed as a form of anti-starfighter defense, providing a necessary countermeasure against the Separatists' extensive fleets of droid starfighters and bombers. The addition of these starfighters marked an evolution of the Dreadnought class as a more complete and capable warship, one that could hold its own in both space combat and planetary defense. In this capacity, the Dreadnought class was integral to the defense of the Republic's outer and mid-rim territories, providing a reliable, if unspectacular, means of support in the broader conflict. While not as glamorous or advanced as the Republic's Star Destroyers, these ships were still a cornerstone of planetary defense, manned by volunteers and local security forces who defended their homes with these dependable and heavily armed vessels. The Dreadnought-class cruisers became symbols of steadfast defense in a galaxy torn apart by war, their iconic silhouette a testament to the power of resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. In the wake of the Clone Wars, the Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers found a new role within the Imperial Navy, where their abundance, coupled with their reliability and relative affordability, made them ideal for deployment across the galaxy. With the Galactic Empire's rapid expansion, resources were often stretched thin, and the Empire needed vessels that could be quickly mass-produced and deployed in various regions, especially in systems where more advanced ships would be impractical or unnecessary. For this purpose, the Dreadnought-class cruisers were ideal candidates. They were often assigned to battle squadrons operating in less strategically significant or unimportant systems, where they served as a backbone to the Empire's widespread control over the galaxy's fringe territories. These ships, though no longer cutting-edge by the standards of the Imperial fleet, were far more cost-effective and could be rapidly deployed to patrol and secure planets that did not warrant the use of more advanced Imperial-class Star Destroyers or Venator-class Star Destroyers. Their proven designs made them ideal for missions where military might was necessary, but high-tech firepower could be reserved for more critical areas. The Imperial Starfleet, ever dedicated to maintaining the Empire's dominance, recognized the potential of these older vessels. A series of upgrades were carried out to enhance the Dreadnought class's field potential. The hyperdrive systems, which were originally less advanced, were upgraded to Class 2, improving the ship's ability to travel faster and more efficiently through hyperspace. This modification made the Dreadnought class more flexible, able to quickly respond to threats or reinforce Imperial presence in distant systems, further solidifying its role as a dependable support vessel in the Imperial fleet. In addition to the hyperdrive upgrade, another key modification was made to increase the ship's operational versatility: the conversion of the ship's cargo hold into a hangar. This transformation allowed the Dreadnought class to carry a squadron of TIE LN starfighters, which were then deployed as necessary to engage enemy starfighters, or to carry out various missions of intimidation and control on planets under Imperial rule. The addition of these starfighter complements made the Dreadnoughts far more effective at maintaining order within their assigned sectors, able to swiftly dispatch TIE fighters to combat any resistance or insurgent activities that might threaten Imperial control. With these upgrades, the Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers became an integral part of the Imperial Navy's strategy for enforcing its will across the galaxy. Stationed on the periphery of the Empire's vast domain, the Dreadnought-class cruisers were deployed in key patrol routes, ensuring that the Empire's dominance over primitive worlds and less developed systems remained unchallenged. Their presence was a constant reminder of Imperial power, their formidable weaponry and TIE starfighters, ensuring that even the most distant planets remained firmly under Imperial control. Though they were not the most glamorous or sophisticated ships in the Imperial fleet, the Dreadnoughts served their purpose well. Their effectiveness as patrol ships, equipped to handle minor skirmishes, suppress resistance, and maintain order in the far reaches of the galaxy, made them a lasting symbol of the Empire's iron grip. These cruisers embodied the Empire's relentless drive for control, proving that sometimes even the most outdated tools could be wielded effectively in the name of domination. 50 years after the catastrophic loss of the Katana fleet, a fleet of Dreadnaught-class heavy cruisers that had been lost to the galaxy after a series of tragic events, Grand Admiral Thrawn, the brilliant tactician of the Imperial Remnant, succeeded where others had failed. His strategic genius and unparalleled foresight led him to recover 178 ships from the infamous Katana fleet, a feat that many had thought impossible. These ships, which had been lost to the galaxy after the devastating hive virus incident, had drifted into the fringes of the galaxy for decades, with their fate largely unknown. The ships recovered by Thrawn were crucial to his assault against the New Republic, as they provided him with a significant advantage in terms of fleet composition. Unlike many of the traditional Imperial ships that required extensive crews, these Dreadnought-class vessels were outfitted with the same slave circuitry systems that had once allowed for the reduced crew requirements. With cloned Navy crewmen in abundance, thanks to the new Empire's investment in cloning technology, Thrawn was able to man the Dreadnoughts with minimal personnel, preserving his forces for other critical endeavors while still maintaining an impressive fleet of formidable warships. The Katana fleet, once a symbol of failure and misfortune, was now repurposed as a critical component in Thrawn's brilliant campaign to bring the New Republic to its knees. The recovered ships, while not the most advanced in terms of technology, were more than capable of holding their own. In Thrawn's hands, these Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers proved their worth time and time again, striking fear into the hearts of the New Republic as they reappeared in battle once more. With their powerful weapons, upgraded hyperdrive systems, and advanced tactics under Thrawn's command, they played a pivotal role in the Grand Admiral's strategic offensives. The return of the Katana fleet marked a significant turning point in the galactic struggle, as the New Republic was forced to face not only Thrawn's exceptional military leadership, but also the terrifying presence of these venerable warships, whose legacy had long been lost to history. Garm Bel Iblis, one of the most renowned leaders of the Rebel Alliance, and later the New Republic, maintained a personal fleet of 6 Katana fleet dreadnoughts, a remarkable collection that he had salvaged over time. These dreadnoughts, once lost to history in the aftermath of the tragic hive virus incident that wiped out their crews, were now under the command of one of the most skilled tacticians of the era. Bel Iblis, with his extensive military expertise and unyielding determination, used these ships as a strategic asset in his ongoing struggle against the remnants of the Galactic Empire. The Katana fleet, now largely believed to be lost, became the focus of a daring operation led by Bel Iblis. Over time, he successfully captured 15 of the ships, including the most coveted of them all, the Katana itself. His tactical brilliance and resourcefulness allowed him to systematically locate and secure these warships, which were scattered across the galaxy. These dreadnoughts, though decades old, remained formidable due to their reinforced hulls, potent weaponry, and their reduced crew requirements thanks to the slave circuitry systems. Among Bel Iblis's fleet, several of the dreadnoughts had been retrofitted with advanced ion cannons, a modification that further enhanced their combat capabilities, particularly in neutralizing enemy shields and disabling enemy vessels without causing catastrophic damage. This strategic modification allowed Bel Iblis to engage with greater precision, capturing enemy ships intact for use by the Rebel Alliance. His use of the Katana fleet, and especially the Katana itself, represented a significant victory for the Rebels, giving them access to formidable capital ships at a time when their resources were often stretched thin. However, the final battle for the Katana fleet was a costly one. In a fierce confrontation, the last ship of the Katana fleet was destroyed, marking the end of an era. Despite the loss, the acquisition of the Katana fleet's remaining ships was a major boon for Garm Bel Iblis and his cause. His fleet, bolstered by the Katana-class dreadnoughts, became a symbol of the New Republic's growing strength. Its ability to harness the power of the past and use it to fuel the struggle against tyranny. The dreadnoughts served as a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of those who fought for the galaxy's freedom, showcasing how even the most tragic losses in galactic history could be transformed into pivotal victories through courage and determination. In the early years of the New Republic, its fleet was still in the process of being established, and its resources were scarce. As a result, the newly formed government made use of donated, captured, and recovered Dreadnaught-class cruisers from various sources, including former Imperial fleets, Republic salvage operations, and rebel victories. These dreadnoughts, despite their age and the wear of countless battles, were still reliable ships with potent weaponry and strategic value, providing the fledgling fleet with a formidable presence in the galaxy. They became a vital component in the New Republic's fight to consolidate control and protect its borders. These Dreadnaught-class cruisers, with their legacy rooted in both the Galactic Republic and the Imperial Navy, served as a bridge between the old and new galactic powers. Their inclusion in the New Republic defense fleet allowed the young government to project strength in the face of countless threats from the remnants of the Empire and the ever-present dangers lurking in the galaxy. With their advanced weaponry and robust design, these ships were far from obsolete, though their role in battle had changed over time. Their continued use spoke to the resourcefulness of the New Republic, who, rather than discarding the dreadnoughts as outdated relics, repurposed them for a new era of galactic politics. The New Class Project, a modernization and reformation initiative within the New Republic, eventually saw the decommissioning of the Dreadnaught-class cruisers. This project ushered in a new generation of warships that were more advanced and capable, better suited for the demands of a galaxy on the brink of further upheaval. While many of the dreadnoughts were retired from active service, their legacy continued to shape the structure of the New Republic's military fleet. However, the story of the dreadnoughts did not end with the New Republic's decommissioning. The Yuuzhan Vong War, which engulfed the galaxy in the years that followed, would see the resurgence of these classic ships. Despite being overshadowed by newer warships, the dreadnoughts were called back into service by the New Republic and later the Galactic Federation of Free Alliances, the successor government formed in the wake of the New Republic's struggles. In the face of the relentless onslaught of the Yuuzhan Vong, the dreadnoughts proved to be a resilient and essential part of the war effort. Their rugged design and versatile capabilities allowed them to hold their ground against the alien invaders, even as more advanced ships struggled to adapt to the unique threats posed by the Vong. The dreadnoughts, in a sense, became symbols of the Federation's perseverance, a reminder of the galactic legacy they were fighting to protect. Even in a galaxy dominated by technological advancement, it was these older ships, often modified and outfitted with newer systems, that continued to form the backbone of the fleet during the darkest hours of the war. Though the Dreadnaught-class cruisers were ultimately overshadowed by the more advanced and specialized ships of the New Republic and its successor government, their role in galactic history remained significant. These vessels, once the backbone of planetary defense forces and later adopted by the Empire and the rebels, had endured through the rise and fall of empires and governments, always adapting to meet the needs of the era they served in. From the early days of the Rebel Alliance to the struggles of the Galactic Federation of Free Alliances, the Dreadnaught-class cruisers remained a symbol of the tenacity and ingenuity of those who fought to protect the galaxy, regardless of the obstacles they faced. During the Rebel Alliance's struggle against the Galactic Empire, and later during the formative years of the New Republic, the need for more adaptable and efficient warships became ever more critical. The traditional Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruisers, with their significant crew requirements and relatively static design, were slowly re-envisioned by these emerging powers to better suit the realities of irregular warfare. In the face of limited resources and the overwhelming challenges presented by the Empire, many Dreadnaught-class cruisers were converted into assault frigates, ships designed to provide superior firepower and versatility, while requiring fewer crew members to operate. These converted assault frigates proved to be a more manageable option for the Alliance and New Republic, particularly in their guerrilla tactics against the more heavily fortified Imperial fleet. With crew requirements greatly reduced, the dreadnaughts, now transformed into more efficient vessels, could be operated with a streamlined crew, making them easier to maintain, deploy, and sustain in prolonged engagements. This conversion significantly reduced the need for large crew complements, which had once been one of the defining limitations of the dreadnaught's original design. One of the major changes in these conversions was the enhancement of the ship's armament. While the original dreadnaughts were formidable in their time, their weapons were retooled and upgraded to make them even more potent for modern combat. The assault frigates carried a heavier armament, allowing them to function as both offensive powerhouses and defensive fortresses, capable of taking on larger, more heavily armed adversaries. The emphasis was placed on maximizing firepower while ensuring that the ships remained relatively mobile and flexible on the battlefield. The result was a fleet of Dreadnaught-class assault frigates that could be deployed as force multipliers in critical battles. These ships, though less glamorous than the larger star destroyers or the specialized Venator-class warships, became key assets for the New Republic during its campaign to secure its sovereignty and push back against the remnants of the Empire. Their heavier armament, combined with the ability to operate with fewer crew members, allowed them to punch above their weight class, engaging in prolonged engagements and standing their ground in critical space battles. The conversion process itself was a testament to the ingenuity of the New Republic's engineers and military strategists. These ships, once seen as relics of a bygone era, were reborn as formidable warriors that played an indispensable role in the New Republic's naval strategy. They were used in numerous engagements during the Yuuzhan-Vong War, where they proved their worth against even more sophisticated and dangerous threats. Their role in these conflicts highlighted the importance of adaptive tactics and resourceful engineering, especially when fighting against foes that seemed to outclass the New Republic in terms of technological superiority. These converted Dreadnaught-class assault frigates became symbols of the New Republic's resilience and resourcefulness, embodying the principle that victory could be won not only through advanced technology and firepower, but also through the ability to adapt and make the most of what was available. The Dreadnaughts, once the symbol of an outdated military era, had been remade into a new form, capable of striking fear into the hearts of those who sought to undermine the fragile peace the New Republic had fought so hard to establish. In their final transformation, these ships stood as a testament to the enduring legacy of the Dreadnought class, an enduring symbol of resilience, innovation, and the relentless spirit of the forces that would fight to defend the galaxy. By the time the Sith Imperial War broke out in 127 ABY, the once proud Dreadnaught-class heavy cruisers had largely faded from active military service. Their legacy, however, would not be forgotten, and the vessels that had once served as pillars of galactic conflict would find a new purpose in an unexpected chapter of galactic history. With the galaxy in the throes of an intense conflict between the Sith Empire and the Imperial Remnant, a new chapter in the story of these ancient ships began to unfold. As the forces of darkness and light clashed once more, a hidden, secretive order within the galaxy, known only to a select few, began a monumental project. This secret group, operating beyond the reach of galactic politics and war, sought to build a temple of immense power and purpose, one capable of sheltering their knowledge, guarding ancient secrets, and ensuring the survival of their order. The Hidden Temple, a sanctuary and bastion of the mysterious forces, required vast amounts of resources to complete its construction. Though the galaxy was embroiled in endless wars and the wreckage of countless battles scattered the cosmos, the Hidden Temple's architects turned to one of the most unlikely sources of materials, the very wreckage of the Dreadnaught-class ships that had once played a crucial role in the galaxy's military conflicts. These retired dreadnoughts, having long since been decommissioned and left to rust in abandoned shipyards or forgotten storage docks, were seen as little more than outdated hulks by most galactic powers. Their once proud hulls, battered by decades of combat and neglect, held little value to the Imperial Remnant or the New Republic, forces that were more interested in building fleets of more advanced ships. Yet, to the enigmatic creators of the Hidden Temple, these hulks were far more than mere relics. Their massive, sturdy frames, their reinforced hulls, and the remnants of their former might held untapped potential. With careful planning and expert craftsmanship, the Dreadnaught-class ships were deconstructed, their metal plates, weapon systems, and structural components meticulously repurposed for the construction of the Hidden Temple. The colossal frames of the cruisers, once designed for galactic dominance, were reshaped into the very foundation of this secretive structure. The powerful energy generators and shielding systems from these ships were retrofitted into the temple's defenses, ensuring that it would remain secure from outside threats. For the architects of the Hidden Temple, the process was as much symbolic as it was practical. The transformation of the dreadnoughts into the building blocks of a new age represented a shift in galactic power, a transition from military might to spiritual strength, from raw combat to the careful preservation of knowledge. The Dreadnaught-class ships, which had once been instruments of war, were now foundational elements in a sanctuary that would safeguard the future of a new generation. As the years passed, the Sith Imperial War raged on, and the Hidden Temple grew ever more powerful and enigmatic. Its creation, in part forged from the remnants of the Dreadnaught-class Heavy Cruisers, became an enduring symbol of both the futility of war and the ability to find strength in the ruins of the past. The ships that had once borne the weight of military might were now enshrined in the eternal shadows of a hidden place, guarding secrets that, if ever revealed, could change the course of the galaxy's destiny. In the end, the Dreadnaught-class cruisers found their place not on the front lines of battle, but as the very framework upon which the future would be built. Their legacy was not one of destruction, but of transformation, a testament to the enduring power of what remains, even in the aftermath of war. The practice by Rendley Star Drive of licensing the production of Dreadnaught-class heavy cruisers to local shipyards across the galaxy ultimately led to a wide array of unique and diverse variants of the iconic vessel, each tailored to meet the specific needs and specifications of the various planetary defense forces and factions that adopted them. This proliferation of variants significantly expanded the influence of the Dreadnought class beyond its original purpose and forged new paths in galactic military engineering. In the case of Utapau, a world known for its deep, sprawling sinkholes and the complex cave systems that served as the foundation for its cities, the shipyards worked to produce Rendley dreadnoughts in several different sizes to fit their specific defensive needs. The Utapauan variation was not a direct copy of the original Dreadnought class, but rather a modified design that reflected the unique topography and resources of the planet. These ships were optimized for the kind of guerrilla warfare the Utapauans would engage in, able to utilize their vast underground complexes for storage and maintenance, while their relatively smaller size allowed them to maneuver through the cavernous landscapes of their homeworld's natural fortifications. However, the most notable instance of local customization came from the Quarren engineers working at the Mon Calamari orbital shipyards. While initially working under the Rendley Star Drive license, these engineers pushed the boundaries of the Dreadnought-class design, creating some of the most extreme and aggressive variants in the history of starship development. These ships often featured heavily modified weapon systems, reinforced hulls, and enhanced propulsion units, making them far more formidable than the baseline Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers. Their radical rethinking of the vessel's form and function would lay the foundation for a major shift in galactic warfare. When the Clone Wars ignited, the engineering community at Mon Calamari orbital shipyards underwent a dramatic transformation. Amid the chaos of galactic conflict, many of these talented Quarren engineers, disillusioned with the growing influence of the Republic and the Jedi, defected to the side of the Confederacy of Independent Systems. Their designs, born from their work on the Rendley dreadnoughts, would prove pivotal in the development of a new class of warship for the Separatists. One of the most remarkable fruits of this defection was the creation of the Providence-class carrier-destroyer, a ship that would forever alter the course of the Clone Wars. Taking inspiration from the Rendley dreadnought's formidable power and adaptability, the Quarren engineers designed the Providence class to combine heavy firepower with advanced carrier capabilities, allowing it to launch and recover starfighters while also engaging in large-scale naval combat. The Providence class became one of the Confederacy's most iconic vessels, an evolution of the Dreadnought class that was perfectly suited for the demands of galactic warfare. Not content with just refining the Dreadnought, the Quarren engineers would take their design even further, developing the Separatist Dreadnought, an upscaled and more heavily armed version of the Providence class. This behemoth-class warship became a symbol of the Separatists' growing power, towering over its predecessors with an array of turbolasers and ion cannons designed to dominate any foe that stood in its way. With its enhanced weapons systems, the Separatist Dreadnought would prove itself on countless battlefields, launching devastating assaults against Republic forces throughout the galaxy. The legacy of the Dreadnought class and its variants, from the smaller local adaptations like the Utapauan dreadnoughts to the massive galaxy-spanning terror of the Separatist Dreadnought, illustrates the adaptability of Rendley's design philosophy. It also highlights the ingenuity of engineers across the galaxy, who took the foundational principles of the Dreadnought class and reimagined it, giving birth to an array of warships that would go on to leave an indelible mark on galactic history. In the end, the Dreadnought class was more than just a warship. It was a canvas upon which countless designers and engineers painted their own visions of power, protection, and destruction. Whether it was a modified Rendeli Dreadnought for a world like Utapau, or the mighty Providence-class and Separatist Dreadnought that rained terror on the battlefield, the ships that evolved from Rendeli's original designs became as diverse and varied as the galaxy itself.